Hey everyone, it's Adam here. This is our F750GS. The F850GS is very similar except that there's no low model. So this is your low suspension F750. And in this video we're going to be wiring up the Denali D7s, the D2s, the B6 brake light over here, as well as the sound bomb right there into the CANsmart controller. So let's show you what we got going on so far. So you'll see here on the front, we've got our D7s on both sides. D7s, and on the bottom are D2s. And you'll see that we have our cables here. I'm not doing the installation that is the manual installation. I'm using the CANsmart controller. So if you're looking for the manual installation of wiring this up directly to a controller and to your battery, that's what this video is about. Luckily, BMW bikes work with the CANsmart perfectly, and there's really no other reason to do it any other way because CANsmart is honestly just the best way to configure all this most easily, and it truly is plug and play. Down below, we also have, in place of the OEM horn, we've got our Denali sound bomb securely mounted right there to the same plug that the old horn went into. And then up top here, we have our Denali B6 brake light right there. Now, all this kind of goes into a few different cables. So here's your cables here for this is for your sound bomb, your D7 and your D2. You'll see these are kind of running up for now to the front of the bike. We'll do those later. And then right here, we have our Denali CANsmart controller. The CANsmart controller is already wired in to the B6 brake light. You can see that there when I hit the button. And that was a separate video because that's such a popular modification. In the CANsmart controller, very simple to do. You've got just the module right here with a USB port right there to configure it. The CANsmart controller is wired into right there, positive and negative for our battery on the F750. Ran that straight through to here. And then from there, we have to now get the power and the control to the front of the bike. Now what I'm gonna do, there's a few ways to do this. You can kind of snake your way around here, the frame right there, but I wanna do this as nice as possible. So we're gonna start by removing the fairings. I'm gonna do this on video. I'm gonna do this fast forwarded. So I'm gonna do it at 4x speed. So if you go to YouTube and you do 0.25x speed in the player, you'll be able to watch this at real-time speed. But for those of you who know how to remove the fairing, you won't have to sit around too long to watch me do this. But you can see here, we're gonna be removing these two bolts. There's gonna be bolts here, and they're kind of fished around here, kind of inside of this little bit there. There's some more kinds of bolts here. We basically want to get all this off so we can see the most space in order to get this wired up. T25s, let's get started. Okay, so I think we'll be able to do it with this actually. So what we're gonna do is, so that one option is what I'm doing here, which is just removing enough to allow this to snake through here, through the nice gap that BMW gives you between the fairing and the tank. All right, so we have over here, as you can see, we've got these three lines. These lines are gonna be your, there's two here, goes to your sound bomb. Then we've got two more cables, each with splitters. One of these goes to your D7 and one of these goes to your D2. So you want to get these all the way to the front of the bike right there. So what we're going to do is we're going to actually try to find the least painful way to do that. I'm going to give myself, for starters, as much slack as possible for the front of the bikes. Let's go ahead and fish through the rest of this here, because you don't really need that much to get into the CANsmart, and we'll fish all this back if we need to. All right, so from here, now your seat's going to latch right there. So we're going to get this, I think, underneath this. There we go. So now we have enough lift to get that out of there. So as you can see, we snaked this through here, and this is all back to go. What I'm going to do is I'm going to get this out of the way by using this channel right here, like that. Snake this up. Again, we're kind of still in the staging process. I'm just getting this kind of out of the way here. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and actually pretend that this is all done. I'm going to put the T40s and the T30s back in, and I'm going to reinstall the seat to make sure. Now, this is not back on. That's fine though. We'll just deal with that later. Okay, does that unlatch easily? Yeah. Well, I was wrong. So whenever I ran the cables, here they are, underneath there to here. Looks like there's plenty of slack, but they actually don't get down here far enough to reach things like the sound bomb, which has its cables down there. And also these terminate right there. So we're going to need to get these pretty far. So I think moving the fuel tank is the best option, since there's not really a video on YouTube on how to do this yet. First, a little bit of like retrospective. I'm done with the wiring, and you'll see in the edits that I'm going to make before this that I went down two different paths. The first one was, well, everything was here was right. So running these down here, great. Running these through this channel here, fantastic. It's a perfect place to go. These obviously need to be tightened up, and this needs to be tightened up. Initially, as you remember, I was going to run up this channel here underneath the fairing, right in this little gap right there, and come out here and down. But then I noticed that BMW had put all the wires through the upper part of the frame that connects to the steering clamp. So I kind of wanted to use this little channel, but that required getting underneath the airbox in the fuel tank. So I went down a path of removing the fuel tank. And then I got to where I'm sitting there going, well, I don't think I need to remove the fuel tank, because my biggest problem is not getting to the D7s and D2s. The biggest problem is getting down to the sound bomb way down there. So I took a different approach. Still following this channel right here, going to the right. I'm always right side biased on these kind of things. And then from there, you'll see when I pull this back, the cables are coming down. See the left-hand side there? As they're coming down. If you put your finger right under here into the frame, you can actually touch them. They're right there, zip tied together. I've got a zip tie basically every 6 inches or so. And then they run above this motor mount right here, and they come out right there. There was already a small tube there, so I basically channeled them through like that. And if you look, they basically follow the path right there. Now they come out in two different places. The sound bomb horn comes up and it actually fishes down. So what's happening here is this is fishing. You can actually see the cables coming out right here. These are the two, go to the lights. One goes over and one goes under. They're coming out from back here. Very easy to fish up there. Although I would recommend putting some electrical tape or zip ties around them, because you don't want to stress out the cables at all, because they do split. At the split, put a couple zip ties or some electrical tape around it to keep that, that rubber from getting too stressed out. For the sound bomb, I'm not even coming over this part. These are the two cables, by the way, I just pointed to. I'm not coming here at all. I'm actually coming straight down behind the radiator, and I'm coming out right. Well, there's that blue and green. I have zip tied onto the O2 sensor, zip tied onto whatever the heck this thing is, and then I come straight up right there behind the radiator, all the way up basically to where, right about here. See, that's the horn right there. So you really can't see it there, but it's coming out kind of behind there. Okay, so that's kind of the logistical part of getting it up to the front of the bike. Then what do we do? Well, I took a couple approaches here. For the D7s, you'll see the D7s, they snake underneath. One zip tie there. Same thing on the other side. One zip tie right there behind the actual D7 on the bracket itself. Then with the D7s, it's that orange light reflector right there. I'm coming up. I've got both D7s on this upper harness there, and they are basically sharing one zip tie. I've got this coming through this little metal piece right there. And then as you come back through, I have them both going into that little area I pointed out earlier. That's kind of a nice little wiring area. And then I fished, see this gray right there? I kind of fished one of the cables up underneath this, straight up, and then I connected to the D7s right there. So all the D7 connections are actually inside of here, which is kind of, you know, not weatherproof, but it's a little bit of a shield against the elements. And then they each come out a respective side. They zip tie on, and they split right here, and they kind of go their respective ways. For the D2, I have both sides using the brake line cabling, and they are both zip tied right here and right there. And then when you look up, it's clear as day. Right where the brake line splits, you've got, these are your Denali cables right there. You've got both connections. These are the CANsmart cables right here, and these are the Denali D2 cables right there. And they're basically affixed here, and then they're fixed back here, and there's one more kind of connection point right back there that they're zip tied together right there. And then that comes down right over there. So this is coming straight back and then down there and it's hooking there. And it's a pretty good connection. None of the zip ties are extremely tight, but they're all solid enough to keep things where they should be. So that's our logistical setup. Now let's go back to the rear of the bike. Don't forget to button all this fairing back up. So I have this running here. Same. I'm gonna put another zip tie right there, and a zip tie right here, and then this runs down like that. Here's our CANsmart connector. You've got 2 connectors here for your D7s, D2s. One here for your horn, and then one here that goes to your brake light. Everything is basically as it should be. I did all this instead of allowing you to do it, so I kind of feel bad about that.
No, I know. Well, we have very limited workspace, and if I was told to do this by myself, I wouldn't know where to start. So I do appreciate you doing it.
I think you would figure out eventually. It just, we have...
No, I know I would have figured it out eventually.
Times of the essence.
Yeah, I did what I could at times, but...
All right, so this is the boot up phase.
Okay.
The horn won't work because the engine's not running. Now these are all like, they're all low power, I think. These are like the lowest power. It's not gonna kill the battery. You wanna see what your horn would look like though with the strobe?
Horn?
What the horn does with the strobe. There's no horn though because the motor's not running.
Sure, if it beeps. Okay.
Isn't that cool?
That is cool. That's gonna give people seizures on the roads. Okay, I'm gonna have a seizure if you keep doing it. Jesus.
And then there's your high beam. But they just turned off because what the CANsmart has is like a voltage sort of thing where it doesn't want to kill your battery. So the motor's not running, it'll only do the high beam for so long.
Impressive.
What do you think?
Very impressive. Thank you.
Don't thank me. I really honestly, like, now that we're done with this part of things, I do feel bad that I commandeered this.
It's fine.
But it was.
I offered help, to be very clear.
It was so hard to have 2 people working on this at one time.
I know. I just don't want people watching the videos to think that I'm letting you do it because you're the dude. I'm really just letting you do it because you've done it before.
Yeah.
And because you feel very passionately about doing it.
Here's what we'll do though. The next part is actually configuring with a laptop. So tomorrow night we can configure these together, and you can basically on the laptop you'll figure out exactly how you want them to be done. Okay. Okay, so this is the wiring video for the CANsmart. So separate videos, if you click on the playlist to the right side, is installing the D2s, installing the D7s, installing the B6 brake light, as well as installing the Denali sound bomb. This video is the wiring. The next video will be how we actually configure these, and Heather will be able to pick all of her preferences and all that strobe and all that good stuff. So see you guys in the next video. Thanks for watching.